everybody. Randy Patterson here with Boomerocity, and boy, do I have a fun one for you. It's been a long time since I talked to this man, but it's almost like we just picked up where we left off last time. And of course, I'm talking about Doug Gray of the Marshall Tucker Band. Yep, they're still touring. They still sound as great as ever. They put on one of the best shows you'll ever see. And it's always a treat to chat with Doug. And this time was no different, very laid back. I swear you're going to feel like you're just sitting in as a fly on the wall with two friends chatting. And that's exactly how it felt. It's a phone one, so I'll be putting a slideshow to this. And but the audio is great. He's got a lot of stories to tell. And again, it's just a lot of fun. And so if you love listening to the legends talk, you're really going to love this interview. Again, with Doug Gray of the Marshall Tucker Band. And as always, would you mind please hitting like and subscribe? I know that you don't think it's a big deal, but to anybody you listen to who does things on a regular basis, subscribing is the mother's milk of staying in this stuff, and subscriptions help us. So if you don't mind, please hit subscribe and share this with other people and ask them to do the same. It doesn't cost you anything, it just helps us out. So without any further ado, here is my second interview with Doug Gray of the Marshall Tucker Band. Until next time, this is Randy Patterson with Boomerocity. Take care. Hello, Doug. How you doing?
Hey man, I'm just I'm walking around in the house, looking outside at the snow melt. I'm all right with it. Okay.
I where are you dialing in from? Because I'm doing the same thing.
Well, believe it or not, first time since 1980 that I've seen 6 inches of snow at Murph Beach.
Is that right? Wow.
And you wouldn't believe it. It's still there. I mean, we don't have snow plows down here. We have some of those Yugos with a razor blade on the front of it. That's what we get here. but at any rate, it's like, what can you say? This is not our plan. And the plan is to kill some of them bugs that everybody's been complaining about all summer now. Some of the bugs will be gone, but they got to shovel snow for 4 or 5 days.
Yeah, okay. There you go. Well, I mean, gosh, I'm sure you've seen the same news I have about New Orleans. Bourbon Street turned into an ice rink, man. That's crazy.
The unbelievable thing is I text my guy to see how he was doing, and my flute saxophone player, Marcus, and him and his wife had taken a few days to go down because, I've been taking this month off except for inauguration of this paper for governor up in West Virginia. Mm-hmm. And I took this time off, and I said, well, we'll come back to work, go to Knoxville, have a good time. And it's not that far and don't really matter because I got 3 buses anyway. So I said, well, here's what we're going to do. And Marcus says, man, you ain't gonna believe it's snowing down here. He said, I don't know how much you're supposed to get us. So he's been there 4 days now. He's saying, he said, I don't like to drink this much. I said, well, you can't get on Bourbon Street anyway. He says, nope, they got it shut down because of ice. I said, well, I hope you enjoyed the room, and I'm glad you enjoyed your wife at the beginning 25 years ago. So now you're getting to enjoy her again. Okay.
or you could be reminded why you're on the road so much. I don't know which it is.
I think you're hitting it. You're sliding off the nail heads. Okay. That's what we used to say when some of the guys used to do some hammering years and years ago. They'd say, "Oh, I slid off the nail heads," and that was our signal to that was our cue to maybe we should pack up and leave right now, and
last minute gig
instead of getting in fights. I think we slipped off the nail head. People would know was getting ready to jump there.
I love it. Well, Doug,
life is but a dream. That's all it is.
Yep. Well, it's been about 8 years since you and I last spoke. Last time I talked to you, you were going to be doing a gig at the what do they call it? The Celebrity Theater at Dollywood, and I caught your show there. I interviewed you a week or two before that, but I hadn't talked to you since. How's it been between then and now?
Lord have mercy, what a change. It's been a long time. And I love playing there, by the way. That was exciting, and we sounded pretty doggone good, I
Yes, you
guess.
did.
Walking at you, I always can tell what's some of the beautiful things and places. So we walked out, and people were talking about it, and things for us have gotten. I don't know why time changes like this, but kids are the most advantageous people that you can listen to, and luckily we have kids from 16 to 84. Okay. And I'm serious.
Yeah.
And the reason is because those are people that some people are just now getting computers, cell phones, where you can download music. And, when that happens, they go through us, and we get to see the results of that.
Yep.
And when we see it, usually you can see, who this person is or what they are and what they're doing. And, usually who scratched their back last week or, broke a foot or something. You can find that kind of stuff out on the internet. But, we're lucky we went up from, 400,000 to almost 800,000 likes on Facebook, and Spotify gave us an award. Excuse me. Pandora gave us an award that we'd been played 1 billion times.
Wow.
Yeah, and Spotify came in with 66 million. So 1 billion, we got presented that at the Grand Ole Opry by Hazel Daniel.
Wow.
And
How cool.
yeah, that was
Congratulations.
well, thank you very much. It's an unbelievable thing, and Pandora has always been really good to us, and so has Spotify. Some of these other things, people, how dare these people think that, well, they playing my music and I ain't getting no money off of it. Well, let's see. Maybe because your stuff ain't getting listened to. That's my answer to it. And maybe, and I'm not taking for granted some of Toy's wonderful songs that he wrote years and years ago that he presented to me and said, sing it so that you could feel it. And I went, oh Lord, here we go. But these are the times. And then we signed with a couple of big companies that have continued to take us from I don't know. I hate to put it A, B, C, or D, but take us from E band that had been together for so long to a band that is playing with people that are drawing 15 to 35,000 people.
Right.
Okay. So we get stuck in there. Then you find out the people that come to see us, and, we have an opening act as well. And then they unbelievably, they can't think. And they're, doesn't register for me that I'm as old as I am. Okay. It doesn't register because people say, how you act different. My doctor even said the same thing. He says, don't you feel bad coming through that waiting room and some of them people can't get around and they're younger than you are? I went, no, I never really thought about it that way. He says, well, I have. He said, I've been your doctor like almost 40 something years. He says, you're still moving. I said, maybe that's the key.
That's it.
And having wonderful people around. And of course, band members change here. They go here and there. And some of them have to stay home with their growing kids and, they get in trouble in high school and stuff, or junior high, or some of them elementary school, because some of these guys are a little bit younger, not too much younger than me. But being able to go into companies that appreciate your ability to go out there and perform in front of people, and it brings back a memory.
Yeah.
And just like you said, you remember that day very well, I'm sure.
Yep.
That you saw us up at Dollywood.
Yep.
I remember that show. I remember how good we felt when we was walking out, because everybody walked out the same way. So we walked out, and I remember those things. And people are a little freaked out when I'm talking to somebody and done an interview with them. Some Rolling Stone guy the other day. I think, it was Rolling Stone. He says, I can't believe that your logo is still number 3 of the world's most recognized logo. And I went, oh, okay. I figured other people's logo might have come on in, Rolling Stone's lips. And, then there's number 2, I think, is Aerosmith. Then guess what? Then it's unbelievable that we can go and these companies can put us in a situation. They're not buying it and selling it in Marshall Tucker Band. What they're doing is taking orders like somebody that works at McDonald's. Somebody comes in, they want a double Whopper. I don't know. I changed that up for fun. But anyway, if they double cheese. But anyway, you know me, I have nothing but a sense of humor about everything that we do.
Yeah.
Right? I think it's wonderful.
Yeah.
And whenever you pull up to something, people want to listen to your music. They listen to some, like I said, toy songs, listen to some of my songs. I mean, they're still playing our song in movies that run in Belgium and places like that. And
My
that song,
goodness.
I Should Have Never Started Loving You. I wrote that song in the back of a Burger King bag. Okay? And I guess that's why I called it a Whopper. But I wrote it, and I still have it by the lyrics. Toy would always say, man, take these lyrics, write them down. I wrote them down real quick and then said, now fix them where you can sing them, and we'll play them together. And we played them together, and that's how you get creative instead of formulating something that nobody can understand why we can play a jazz festival one day, go to the next festival and play a bike rally out in Sturgis,
mm-hmm.
and then go home and play a private party for Intel. Nobody can figure that out. If you got an answer, tell me. But it's because everything that we do is related. This is the only answer that I have. It's everything that we do is related to the common man, common being, not a person that's 1, 2, or 3.
Yeah.
To the working man, to the common man, to the man that drives a pickup truck, to the man that drives a Cadillac.
Yep.
And then that's all it is. You know, that is 100% all it is. Because if you can relate to a song or you can think about it, you know, there's great country songs out there right now. You know, Stapleton's got some good ones. You know, Drowning in Whiskey, that's by my song written by my buddy Dean Dillon. And I've done some Dean Dillon songs too in my history of being around in this business for, 60 something years, but 54 years with Marshall Tucker Band. And people go, yeah, I can't believe it. Are you one of the originals? Yeah. What makes you keep going? Both my daughters are grown and professionals, I will say. One of them, you know, they both are very well. They're established in their business, doctors maybe. Okay.
Yeah.
So they sit there and say, well, Dad, you need to quit. Come say, hang out with your grandkids. And for a little example, I say no, because I'd be giving up and letting down on the people that originally loved us.
Yeah.
And those are the ones. And one of my daughters, I just, believe it or not, I took one of my grandkids. She's 14 years old. She'll be turning 15 this year in a few days. And she said, you know, I said, you know, you like Billie Eilish. I like some of that stuff too, the way it's presented. But I'd never seen her, never watched the video, never watched anything, just heard the song.
Right.
And I went, you know what? I found some tickets up in New Jersey at one of the big places up there, holds 20-something thousand people. So I got to talk to her dad. I said, all right, let's go. And so I called her up. We had tickets, Billie Eilish, went and had a little lunch before we went over there. Sit out in the audience. I can get away with that many people, and nobody really there to see us anyway, so it doesn't matter. So I'm sitting out there right on the mezzanine looking over, and I could have got those tickets for free, but it didn't matter. You know, so I bought them, and I wanted to gift her. So we all flew up there, went and saw the concert. I had to leave to fly across the country and do one in San Diego the next day. Didn't matter. But what the important part is I learned from being with her and watching her and what all those other kids in that 20,000 seat arena was. It's Prudential Center is what it was. And I learned something else that I had never thought about. It's not how loud you play it. It's not what you do with it. It's the emotion that you put into it.
Yeah. Yep.
And that's a blessing.
Yeah, it is. It is.
And you did it. And her brother's great. Phineas is his name, and I've since discovered that these people are going to change and going to be different. I loved Usher for a long time. I'm a country ass boy. Okay, so I'd rather lay on the beach drinking a beer or maybe something else, and maybe 2 or 3 dozen shots of tequila. Don't want to sound like everybody else in the world, but you know, tequila was invented for a reason. It wasn't to make you feel alert. Okay, it was make you to feel like you didn't have to feel. And that's what it was. Many, many, many times I hugged that the silver lining in the bathroom. But that you just have to get up and go with it. But I am proud to say that I have quit drinking over the last 3-4 years. Everything I just decided I would. But you asked that simple question earlier. Now look at all this bullshit you got from me, because all of this is the truth.
Yeah. Well, it's the story.
People that don't tell the truth.
That's
they're
right.
Sitting there shining their own. They're shining their own shoes.
Yeah. Well,
I think that's okay.
I think it is too, and I think people want realness today. And I know that one of the questions I had is, you've talked about how long you've been doing this. Has touring changed much for you, or has it been pretty much the same this whole time?
Well, the difference are the venues. Nobody in their right mind is ever going to think Jason Aldean's not going to come in and he's not going to say, being old Georgia boy, he's not going to go in there thinking, it's going to be this way forever, and I'm just going to get bigger and bigger and bigger, and I can put this on, or I can put that on, I can wear this, and I can wear that. You know what? All our stuff comes from a pawn shop or Woolworths years ago when we first started. People don't even know what Woolworths is anymore.
No. Except old guys like us. So
simple. You know what? And some of my guys, you pull a pair of Wranglers or Levi's on and throw a shirt on, and then all of a sudden you're up in front of people and they're dressed just like you. So who gives a damn?
That's right.
That's what you do. Now, I will say that, do I think that it's changed? And it has changed. There's a lot more airline flights because you have to go to those venues that you're playing with, my guy, feeling all right, buddy. Feeling all right. I'm feeling too good myself.
Dave Mason.
We did some shows with him. Then all of a sudden we're doing shows, and did a couple of them shows with Alabama. And then we did a couple of those. We've been, listen, I originally bought my first house in 72 down here at Myrtle Beach. Okay. Mm-hmm. It's not quite like that anymore. Not as cheap as that. But, oh my God, this is ridiculous. That's what it is. But I still have my home up in Spartanburg, as a matter of fact, and I love it, and I go up there quite often. And when I'm off the road, but I was gone 170 days last year.
Wow.
Worked 114. Tax man told me that, and worked 114. Said, hey, listen, you guys, and I employed 21 people. And employing people means that they're in the circle of our love. They're the ones, if they have a child is sick, well, you just stay home. We'll let Johnny be good, come out and play your part this tour. It's very much reference towards being an enlarged family that everybody gets along. Because if you don't get along, you're not going to be in a circle.
Nope. And life is miserable then.
Right. Life is miserable, not only for us, but for them.
Yep.
And I can truly say, without a doubt, and it's kind of like the song that we had, I can say without a doubt, you're the only love I'll ever find. You know what? That was a great song. We do it now. We didn't do it for 20 years, and then all of a sudden we brought it back one night. Everybody passed out thinking it would never be able to do it again, probably. But the fun part about this whole thing was, it's immediate. And whenever you do things like that, it's our way, and you don't argue. And we might not stand with each other, before we go on, but everybody gets their inner peace together and then goes out there, and all of a sudden we become one.
Yeah.
When we become one, you get your best show. And when we realize that that audience is looking for something that they want to come back to, whether it be an old girlfriend, an old wife, an old dog, and we've had horses named after us. I was a horse's ass for a while, okay? But we have, and some of them have been champions, you know. So we raced a lot of show horses, and you know, and then his brother got killed, and then he wasn't able to have nobody take care of him anymore.
Mm-hmm.
But then Tommy died in 1980, and you know, since 82, 83, it's been me and continuing on. So the original band lasted 8 years. I've continued this thing on, and people go, "How do you do it?" I said, "Well, look, I'm talking to you 8 years later."
Yeah.
Okay, and I hope you can feel that I'm standing up, being excited because some of those things that I'm talking about are bringing back memories for me and you, man.
Yep. That's right. That's right. Well, one thing I was thinking of, Doug, and that I'd love your thoughts on. I know that a lot of artists, they write a song and, there's a story behind it, maybe a story about what was going on when it was recorded, or probably even more importantly to you, what are fans telling you about a particular song, what it meant to them and all that. And I'd be curious to know if you have a particular story, maybe a fan story about one of the songs, and what they told you that it meant to them, or what had happened around the time of his life. Is there something that stands out in particular, a particular story about one of your songs?
Well, I got to tell you, later in this terrific life that we had of over 33 albums, and then you got all the compilations, but there's a song called "In My Own Way," and most people think of that as a B-side, what we call it. There was an A-side that was hit, and then there's a B-side. Well, this was a B-side on one of the 45s. Okay, people don't know what that is. I'm sure there is people, but that kind of makes me laugh. But we did that song. Toy said, "Man, put something to this and make it better." And he would always say that to me. Me and him would go in and play 4 hours just to eat a steak at a Amvets club. We jammed Misty 14 different ways. Okay. And I know you know what that is. And he'd say, I'd say, "Toy, we ain't gonna be able to go out there and play 3 hours." He says, "Yeah, we will. It's jamming around. We'll just play it around." Got people into college jamming again. But he said, this was when both of us had just got back from Vietnam. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So we got back a year before I did. And we stood up there and played for those people. They enjoyed it. I don't know that they ever really realized, because here I was just making up lyrics. We played at a different tempo, stuff like that. But the one song that Toy gave to me that I remember so well, that I could hear in my heart, and I could say to other people that after the years, if we pull that song out, people will go, because we don't play it every night. It's not a song that deserves to be played every night. It needs to be kept special. So when everybody's on and we're on 10 or 12 feeling, then we're on that and we're getting ready to leave. We've already got an encore. And then I say, "All right, y'all want to hear one more?" And everybody likes it. And we do it. So we don't leave. We start with "In My Own Way." And the reason behind it, and people come up to me and say, "Man, I never really heard anybody say the lyrics the way it was." And it was simple as this: "There's a special place that's in my heart, and it's occupied by you. And there ain't no one on God's earth going to take you away. And I can say without a doubt, you're the only love I'll ever find." Now, that struck to people that listened to albums in the old days, that listened to all the songs on the record, that rolled joints on the double albums. And they were sitting there, and they were listening. and they were listening, and you got to know the people because their picture was there. Now you don't know who the hell's doing all the music. You don't know that if it actually is music or if it's from, and I'm not running it down because there's a lot of stuff that I like that's AI. Okay.
Yep.
A lot of stuff that I like. I think that they've really they're mastering it as we speak. Okay.
Yeah. Yep.
And if they do that, they're not going to be able to do without humans. And humans are the ones with the emotion. We're not going to get a machine ever have emotion. There's
That's
no
right.
way in hell. That's just my opinion.
I agree. Well, do you think, I mean, with all these catalogs selling, some of your peers selling their catalogs for huge amounts of money, and then now we have AI kind of coming into play and all that. What do you think, dust off your crystal ball, what do you think all this means 10 years from now? Catalog sold, some big corporation owns it, they bring in some AI whiz. What happens next after that?
Well, let's listen to my opinion. I just not. I have to tell you what Randy Travis. Listen to Randy Travis. And Randy can hardly talk.
Right.
I was with him at Charlie Daniels' funeral. Got on the elevator, and he says, because he was sitting there in the wheelchair. I was going down to see Hazel, and this has been a couple of years now. And Hazel summoned me, and I went downstairs to visit with her for a minute before the funeral. And Randy Travis and his wife was there.
Mary.
And he says, yeah. And he says, I know who that is right there. That's Doug Gray talking. And I went, damn, Randy, you pretty good. I thought you was all out of there. He says, no. He said, I ain't all there. And then now I've heard the stuff that boy's doing that belongs to Randy Travis. Okay. Using their AI and a lot of that stuff. And you know what? Sounds good. It's giving us some moments of Randy that he can't do anymore. It's physically impossible. I think that's good that way. Now, on the other hand, are you ever going to be able to find that emotionally at a concert? No. Nope. You just won't. And I'm going to love you forever and ever. Amen. I don't know that you'll ever get that inflection in your voice that tells you that you feel that way, because every night he sang it, every day he sang it, Randy. Yeah. It would be different because of his emotion feelings that he walked on, whether he stumped his toe before he walked on or somebody hit him in the head with a hammer. Right. So there is alternatives here. So I think they'll always be good. I think the AI thing is good. But I also think that we're going to need the kids to carry on the real feelings and show their emotion as they're downloading our records right now. Yeah. Okay. They're downloading our records because they're going to make them forever. Yep. They're going to have those records. As far as those big companies buying them, I don't have any problems with that. Okay. I honestly I'm not going to talk about it simply because ours is worth a heck of a lot of money. Because it's still selling. It's being downloaded. But it's just not something that I'm going to talk about, except for the fact that they will, as it progresses, sometimes somebody will be able to hit more emotion on the button, okay, on the light switch on the console. Right. They're going to be able to hit more emotion. I think in time that will come. When something can make a decision, not faster than you, because that's what this whole computer thing's all about. Doing something so you can Google something or other ways or start finding out other things. I think that music is going to be the mainstay of what pulls people together, because I've watched kids that are 18 to 25 years old right now come up and say, man, that's the best stuff I ever heard. I walked through that. We play a lot of casinos. They're grand ballrooms, a lot of performing arts centers, play a lot of big festivals. We got some playing with J.J. Gray and Mofro right now. Okay. And they're already selling good. So I can't say stuff like that. But there's other bands that's out there, and some of them I don't even know the name of, and they sound great. So it's not going to go away because that's built into not just for somebody that plays it, but for somebody that lives it.
Yep.
And somebody that lives it. You've lived as long as I have. I was never part of building the pyramid. Okay. But, okay. My drummer, B.B. Borden, was. So that's what we say, baby. How was it whenever you invented the wheel? Okay. And that's the humor. If you don't have humor, you're not going to have feelings.
That's
If
right.
you don't have feelings, you're not going to be able to have an association with people.
That's right. That's right.
I'm sorry to preach, but
oh no, I'm loving it.
To talk.
That's right, and I'm loving every second of it. Hey, I want to shift gears with you on something. I know we talked about him before when we talked 8 years ago, but I kind of want to revisit just for the heck of it. I told you then that I had went to school. My first year of college was at a small Bible college in Fresno, California. And I went to school with Paul Thompson, who played with you for a brief bit. And I was heartbroken to find out that he was killed in an accident and all that. And I still have some of my classmates that follow what I do and they remember Paul. I was wondering if you might share a thought or two about Paul.
Paul was crazy.
Yeah, he was.
Okay. He was a crazy boy.
Yeah.
And I had to calm him down a couple of times, when he was doing some wild stuff that he did.
Mm-hmm.
And, we buried him right across the street from when the lady pushed him off the road on his bike.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And so where he passed. And his mom and dad were great. Mm-hmm. Both of them were preachers, by the way.
I know that. Yeah.
And, I got to meet him several times. And they told me, if you can calm him down, take him on the road. And I said, well, okay. So I went and met him in the parking lot of a club that I knew about over there that I'd probably going to frequent myself with a beer. But I met him and I said, hey, you're a pretty nice guy, and I know you can play. And because I'd heard him play with different bands. And, just got with him, and, his whole personality lit up the stage. And when you find somebody that has that much personality, that much drive, and wanting to get out there even more and loosen up, that was the thing. One of the reasons that he left the band was primarily because he was looking for something more.
Mm-hmm. I think he always was. Yeah, and
he's taking the next step. When he drove it, and a lot of people don't know this, you drive down 26. There's a highway 176 over there that's right next door to it. Okay, when driving down the big mountain there, Paul would ride his bike up the top of that mountain. I'm talking about pedal.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
Ride it to the top of that mountain. And this was a curvy road. This was foolish. And they had this thing going all the time. And I said, well, you got to have some kind of brain screw loose or something to go and come down that thing at 50 and 90 miles an hour, because you could. It was like the racing up and down a mountain. So they'd all pedal up, and then you're talking about 2 or 3, maybe 5 miles. And then they pedal up, take a break, and then all of a sudden they'd all enjoy how fast they could come down.
My goodness.
I told him, I said, man, you're just crazy. He said, no, this is fun. And then Paul, all right, now I'm going to tell you one that really just come back to me, okay? This is even better. Jackson Hole, Wyoming. He said, man, he said, let's take a ride up, take one of the trolleys up to the top of the top of the mountain. There was no snow there. But nobody told me what Paul's ambition was, is he wanted to ride one of the trails down on a bicycle.
Oh, well, man.
I'm going to tell you something. I was a great big old boy then, all right? First of all, I wasn't particularly liking what I was getting ready to do, but Paul convinced me, all right?
Mm-hmm.
First of all, they did have the bar open. That's as far as I'll go with
that. That helped a little, huh?
Well, they call it courage. Anyway, and I'm going all the way back to the Yellow Brick Road. But when you do enough, I guess you just get stupid and are not enough, and you just still keep looking for it. But Paul said, "Come on, man, I got him." And the guy had 2 bikes out there. they were really nice, and this had been done before, but not many people had done it. Okay, this was when they had all that off-road stuff. Well, the last thing the guy told me is we took off. Paul took off, all cocky and everything, ready to go. I'm ready to go. Yeah, it's gonna be good. Now here we were at the top of Jackson Hole, Wyoming mountain. No snow. Guy said, take this trail over here, and it kind of runs out, so you have to make your own trail part of the way down. Now, I don't know how high that was, but we were, so it didn't matter. Okay. But the thing was, as we took off, everything was beautiful, man. It was going to be a great day. It was nice and warm, toasty. We started out, and you take a few jolts, and I said, it got serious. Okay. Then it really got serious. I feel it right now. I probably would if my back didn't hurt so bad right now. But we got to one place, and the guy told me before we left, he said, now y'all just remember, Paul looked at me, and he said, now tell him again. He said, when you all of a sudden you don't feel you're going downhill, and you don't feel the bike touching anything, no ground, no anything like that. You're not touching the ground. You're just floating to the next little piece of ground. I went, oh God, and I'm thinking to myself, it didn't really matter. I said, I'm tough. I'll be able to get up, start again. Well, this mountain straight down.
Oh,
so
gosh.
It disappeared for it seemed to me like the ground disappeared for about probably 20 or 30 minutes.
Oh,
but it was probably
Lord.
only a couple of minutes. And then Paul looked back at me. He says, love this. And I was thinking to myself, because I was too scared to talk. I was thinking to myself, I might kill him. And because he's the one who pushed me into it.
Right.
And so we made it to the bottom of the mountain. I told him, he said, that was good, man. You done real good for your first time. I said, I did good for my first and my last
time.
And he busted out laughing, because I always come up with these one-liners. And he busted out laughing, and we went on back in there to the building after I changed pants and and underwear. And it felt weird, because it's like you are flying through the air as you're coming down, but it's just like a ledge you went off. And then there we were again. And it was amazing. But Paul's blessing for his entire life, he was blessed, and he was strong. He had the best intentions for everybody that I knew.
Yeah.
He's just a little wild.
Yep.
And the little wild is probably what took me down that mountain and taught me a lesson. Don't pay attention to what Paul said. Well, that was the lesson I learned that day. But I'm glad you brought that up.
Yeah. Well, my little story about Paul, I mean, he was married to his first wife at the time, and gosh, her name slips my mind right now, but
she's living in Houston, Texas, and the daughter and the son are living there too.
Oh, I'll be darned. She was the sweetest thing, Southern as cornbread, and every time he would start veering off on something that she wasn't approving, you'd hear her go, oh, like that. But funny story about him is he and I were talking. He was telling me some of his ornery stories that he did, as a preacher's kid, and his first time at that college. When I knew him, he was there for the second time, and he was telling me some of his exploits there that were not sermon material. Let's put it that way, but. He told me one night he played the piano for what we called the West Coast Bible College Singers. There is choir that went around and sang at different churches all over California. And he goes, that such and such song we do? I said, yeah. He goes, you notice how at the beginning, when I start playing that, people are just raising their hands and quote unquote feeling the anointing and all that. I said, well, yeah, I kind of noticed that. And he goes, you know what I'm doing there? I said, what? He goes, that is a way slowed down intro to Behind Closed Doors.
Oh, Lord.
He goes,
Now he would know that too.
yes, he would. So,
Good gracious.
I mean,
Well, you know what? I don't know if you're familiar with the Blue Ridge Quartet during
yeah,
that period of time.
yeah.
Well, Laverne and Bill Crow were friends of mine. They lived around the corner from us. Okay.
Hmm.
And so Bill Crow, I went out with his daughter once, a long time ago. And she's since passed too, but so has Bill. And you know, as you grow through these things, Bill was the one that invited us to go over to I can't even think of the name of it right now, but it was a little studio where they cut all their records over in Greenville, South Carolina.
Okay.
So Laverne would always start. He'd say, "Man," said, "I'm gonna start this one." He said, "It's gonna be like Jerry Lee Lewis." I said, "Well, you're not following too far behind him." And I was a little old boy. Okay, I mean, I'm not talking that little, but I was 10, 12 years old. Laverne said, "I'm on Jerry Lee Lewis's show up today." And he was on his way to over to. They got hired by churches to go around, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And then they did a revival, which they did 20 something years in Spartanburg at the Blue Ridge Quartet revival meeting, and that was at Spartanburg Auditorium. And you know, I got to go to several of those, and here was Bill singing that baritone, and you know, he was a very soft spoken guy, but boy, he was real smart. And Laverne would say, "I'm gonna rock him tonight, boy." And Bill would say, "You ain't rocking nothing." He said, "You better play it the way it's supposed to be done." And I never will forget that. Play it the way it's supposed to be done. And I tell the guys that have come and gone in the band, I said, if you're coming in the band, learn the song the way it's supposed to be. That's another thing I learned from Laverne. I said, learn it the way it's supposed to be. And then if you feel good about it that night or that day or wherever it is, I said, go ahead and run with it and take off. Be the boss. And I guess it's the word I said. I think that's something my daddy taught me. So go out there and be the boss. Well, you know, there's no boss in Marshall Tucker Band, so I never understood that until I become a sergeant in Vietnam. And that master sergeant looked at me and said, "I'm gonna give you a promotion," but he said, "You got to be the boss." I went, "Oh God," I'm thinking about my daddy. Daddy never wanted to be the boss. He worked in the cotton mill all his life. So I don't want to be the boss. Everybody hate me. And I said, "Oh God, here I'm gonna be the boss. Everybody's gonna hate me too," you know. But you know, it never worked. All it did is gave me the security and the ability to be able to help people to understand just a little bit. And to this day, we're talking like this, both of us. We're telling stories. We're not doing an interview.
Right.
We're compromising our ability to remember right now. Thank God we have it. But we're letting everybody else know that there's a piece of life that's more important than getting all the way to the top and staying all the way at the bottom.
Yep.
And we all are sympathetic, and that's another word for it, but I can't think of it right now. Compassionate. And we're compassionate towards our fellow man and women. There is some important things that we need to learn yet, but I think we're on a good start if we can get things back to normal. And I think we're all trying.
Yeah, I do too. I think everybody wants the best. I'd like to think people want the best for each other. I know at my age, I'm a little bit younger than you. I'm 65.
Don't be bragging. I don't want to hear it. Go ahead.
Yeah, well, you're probably in better shape than I am and I feel muscles that I forgot I had every time I get up. But at my age, I just, I've tried climbing the corporate ladder and got in the rat race and all that. And right now, you just realize that, political parties aren't going to save us, and corporate America is not going to save us. We are going to save each other. We're going to be there. None of us are perfect. We got to help each other along. And what I like to do is remind people some great music every once in a while, what that song meant to them, what it means to me, and just let's try to keep a smile on our face as many times as we can, as many days as we can for the remainder of our days. And that's I don't like the fighting anymore and the political mudslinging and all that. I just want to help my neighbor.
And it's not only that, it's, and I'll tell you exactly, I feel the same way. I took my girlfriend down to, she had a doctor's appointment. So I was sitting in the waiting room and this man fell and his wife there, and he was on a cane. Okay, now I've had some back surgery, so I have a little limp myself. But this guy seemed to be younger than me, but he fell over, and it wasn't snow or anything. Nobody in that waiting room, everybody saw it and said something about it, but nobody got up and did it. And so I went running out there. Then I had to tell the people to go get me some tissue because he broke his nose and fell face forward down with a cane on the pavement. And his wife said, "Oh, I think he's going to bleed." And he said, "Yeah, I don't know what's wrong." And I said, "Look, he's in shock. Leave him right where he is." Right. Stuff I learned in Vietnam, how to treat.
Right.
Well, I learned a little bit more than that, but the understanding that, John, if there's a problem, you can help. I don't care who you are, what you are, or where to come from. The sacrifice that you make is not a sacrifice. People used to call it sacrifice. It maybe was at one, we were, well, we don't have to get into it, but we do know that somebody sacrificed their life so that we could keep being us.
That's right.
Okay.
That's right.
And I'll say it that way. And, but the good part about having the ability to go out there and help that guy until the people finally woke up inside. The nurses said, "Oh, we'll come out there." They brought a box of tissue and I put it up on his face. And he said, "Man, look at all the blood I'm losing. What happened here?" His wife said, "Get him up, just set him up. He'll be all right." No, you don't do that. You leave somebody sitting there. Mm-hmm. Just hope and pray that somebody has already experienced the fact that they know what to do. How you know what to do is the experience that you've learned and whether you learned it in a book or where you learned it going down the road. I guess we got a little biblical here, but it's not that hard.
Nope.
If you lift hard, you open the door, you learn to keep that door open, cracked. Even if you get away from it, you crack that door and leave it open all the time for somebody to come in and say, "Hey, are you in there?"
Yep.
That's enough.
I think
Kay's gonna get real mad at me for talking over, but you know what? Send her a little email, say we got some good out of it, bad out of it, whatever. Let her know.
I will.
Because she says, "Doug, you're 3 interviews behind." Oh God, here I got to hear her.
I don't want to be the reason why you're in trouble with Kay. I like Kay and I want to stay on her good side,
Kay has been around forever and ever and ever. And if you ask her, she would be the one to interview because she's knowledgeable about just about all the bands she's worked with. Some of them for 9, 10 years, some of them for longer than that. She can tell you not stories. She won't tell you stories about them, but she'll talk about how they were, how wonderful they were. Stuff like that. Yeah. She's very knowledgeable. I have a good person. Don is her boss, but Don, I hired him. I knew his mom and dad before he was born.
Mm-hmm.
And I hired Don on a cruise ship one time. He said, "Man, I'm published. I'm getting ready to do this. So let's see what you got." And so I talked to him and I said, "You're going to have to work for nothing for a while." And he says, "No problem." And so, he's up in Nashville, and then he looked up and got Kay and 2 or 3 other of the nicest little young girls that understood the business at the time.
Right.
Then Kay had to come in and straighten everybody out. He had to have somebody with that knowledge, grace, and appeal.
Right.
And, Kay has her own problems herself, with physical problems that I won't talk about. But there's things that she's much aware of, understanding and compassion.
Yep.
But back to what happened is the guy got up and they called the ambulance on him. That was it. And I never got anything. The woman came over a couple of times and said, "Thank you for being out there," when nobody else would. And you know what? It wasn't that they wouldn't have come out there. So I think people get, "Oh God, if I get involved,
fear.
Guess what? You better get involved."
That's right.
That's the only way it's going to keep getting there.
That's right.
And anyway, if I wait any longer, Kay's going to be calling you. Okay?
Well, all right. Well, Doug, I hope to catch your Knoxville show. I think I know you guys put on a great one, and maybe I can swing backstage and bump elbows with you briefly or something. But I know you guys are going to wow Knoxville, and I look forward to hearing all about it if I can't make it, but I intend to make it. So
You can't make it. It's okay if you can to get you a couple of passes to come backstage for a minute or so. Okay.
okay, it sounds good. And hey, my door's always open to you, my friend. And let's talk again soon especially when you got something new coming up. Okay.
Hey, I always got something new coming up. I might fall down the steps any minute.
Well,
Careful, brother.
all right, buddy. We'll talk to you soon. Take care.